getting treatment at the hospital for about 2 hours. They got there at around 9 p.m. At around 11 p.m., Dorothy saw how unwell Conrad was still feeling, so she suggested that she would bring the car around so he wouldn't have to walk too far to the car. And both Pam and Conrad confirmed that they saw her go to the bathroom first before she left outside. So she didn't do anything else besides that. She just went to the bathroom and went outside. So both Pam had and Conrad, they were inside the hospital for a little bit, and then they decided to go outside and see if Dorothy is there with the car. But Dorothy was not there with the car. They waited a little bit more, and then they see a car coming from the parking lot towards them, and it seems the high beams were on, and it was really blinding them. The headlights were just blinding, so they couldn't see who was driving the car. At first, Dorothy's co-workers assumed that she must have had an emergency, maybe with her son. So they decided to wait a little bit. And by a little bit, I mean they waited for 2 hours. However, Dorothy never came back. They decided to call Dorothy's parents to see if she ever got her son or if she ever came to them. However, she never did. She never did come and get her son. She never came home. So the police was called. The police was initially kind of resistant because she's an adult, so it's usually harder for adult cases when adults go missing. Plus, she hasn't been gone for that long to worry about her, since there were no cell phones. She could have been doing anything, you know. So they decided to wait until the same night, but at 4 a.m. on May 29th, 1980, her car was found. Her white Toyota station wagon, 1973, was found in an alleyway a few miles away where she was last seen, in Santa Ana, California. So Dorothy's belongings were still in the car, but there's no sign of Dorothy. So this is when police decided to finally believe that something must have gone wrong, and decided to start the investigation. They told parents now they wanted it more low profile because they were still looking for leads or something. They were still looking, so they didn't want anything released. So about a week after her car was found, Dorothy's mom started receiving very creepy phone calls. The first phone call she answered, and a man's voice was on the other line. He asked if she knows Dorothy Jane Scott, and of course she said she does, because also she wanted some information maybe about her daughter. So the man then said, I've got her, and he quickly hung up. These calls would actually continue for 4 years after. The caller would call every Wednesday afternoon when he knew that Dorothy's mom was home alone. And whenever police would try to track the caller, because the police was informed about these calls, the caller wouldn't stay long enough on the call for the police in the 80s to be able to track down the caller, so they were never traced. The dad of Dorothy decided to take matters into his own hands, and he decided to go and try to get her disappearance into the media. So an article was published by the local reporter about Dorothy's disappearance. And after this article was published, the reporter actually received a phone call. And a man was on the other line. He claimed that Dorothy was his lover and she cheated on him. He caught her cheating and she denied. So she needed to be killed, basically. What was strange about the phone call was that the caller knew what Dorothy was wearing that day that she disappeared. Also, Dorothy went to change her scarf, and he knew that about the small details that he knew, which was very suspicious, and he was probably the guy who stalked Dorothy before. He even knew that Dorothy was at the hospital and her coworker was bitten by a black widow spider. The coworkers that went with her that night and were with her at the hospital, they said there's no way that she would have called anyone, because they saw her go to the bathroom and they could see that right after the bathroom that she went outside. So since there were no cell phones, she couldn't have called otherwise, and don't see the phone or something where she would be able to call, and they confirmed that there's no way that she would be able to call anyone. One of the nights in 1984, Dorothy's father was home, and he picked up the phone when the strange man called one of the Wednesday nights. I don't know if I mentioned the phone calls would only come on Wednesday nights when Dorothy's mom was home alone, or at a Wednesday afternoon. So this time it was a Wednesday, but the dad was home, so he picked up, and they knew that this was the time that this guy calls. Police tried to trace the call as well, but the man didn't say anything this time and hang up the phone. He never called again after this. The same year that the anonymous caller stopped calling is when Dorothy's remains were unfortunately found. They were found by a construction worker. On August 6, 1984, the remains were found scattered together with dog remains. So nobody knows whose dog that was, because Dorothy didn't have a dog. But it was said to be possibly the person who kidnapped their dog, because the remains of the dog were very close together with the bones of Dorothy. The bones that were found were partly charred, which was assumed that the reason for this was because of the fires that happened in that area in 1982, so they weren't able to tell the cause of death due to that. There was also a watch that belonged to Dorothy that was found nearby, and a turquoise ring that also was confirmed it belonged to Dorothy. The watch had stopped at 12:30 a.m. on May 29th, so about an hour and a half after she went missing. This case is still unsolved to this day. The stalker that she had, he is most likely the person who killed her, because he would most likely also get satisfaction of the calls that he would make to Dorothy's mom, which was